No restriction, no visa, no permit, no travel block or ban.
So when you were in Xinjiang, what did you see there?
All of these things are quite apparent when you're living there or staying there. You can hear the call to prayer 4 or 5 times a day. You can see people going in and out of the mosques. This story that the practice of Islam is being wiped out is totally untrue. Now, if that story is untrue, what other stories are untrue? The story about the language being wiped out is totally untrue, because you can see the language everywhere. And that's the point that I've been making on Twitter, and probably the point that has caused me most of the problems that I have on Twitter, where people don't believe me. And my question to them is, well, when were you last there? And they haven't been, and I have. And so they'd rather believe a story that they see on CNN or BBC. They'd rather believe that than a guy who they think is making up the story. It's really gone a little bit crazy that many of them start saying things to me like, but you can't ride in Xinjiang. And my answer to that was, well, yes, you can. What restrictions did you find there? Well, apart from heavy security, no restrictions. Of course, you could say we were restricted. We had to go in and out of every town through a security check. We check into every hotel with video recognition, facial recognition, and swiping ID cards for my wife, who's Chinese. And our passports are almost destroyed by the number of times it's been checked by different people. So yeah, we were very, very heavily scrutinized. But at no stage did anyone say you can't go there or you can't take pictures of this. And that, to me, was the start of when I realized that I had these pictures of Xinjiang that no one ever tried to stop me taking. No one told me we can't go down this road. No one told me that we can't stay here. But at no stage did they say, show us your photographs, show us your camera, let's see what you've got on there, delete these pictures. Not a single time. And when I tell people that, they say, well, that's not true, you're a liar. Well, no, I'm not. That's a fact.
Another thing that people keep saying is like how horrible the Chinese government is treating the Muslim minorities. Like Mike Pompeo keeps saying like Chinese government is like suppressing Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities, and they are like kind of defending the Muslim minorities, even though they have a horrible history treating Muslims around the world, but they keep accusing Chinese government for this. So I wonder what you saw when you like in Xinjiang, how are the everyday lives of those Muslims, of those Uyghurs in Xinjiang?
Okay, it's not just in Xinjiang, because there are probably more Muslims in Gansu and Ningxia than in Xinjiang, but they're Hui Muslims, and the Hui Muslims don't have they have a different culture, but they don't have a different language. But I can tell you, every town, every village, every place we went through has a mosque, or 2, or sometimes 3 or 4 mosques, depending on the size. Even just traveling through a town which might only have 30 or 40 houses, there's a mosque. There are mosques everywhere. I read on Wikipedia, now I don't know if it's true because it's Wikipedia, but I read on Wikipedia that there are 25,000 mosques in Xinjiang and 39,000 imams. No, 29,000 imams. Now, an imam is a kind of the high priest of the mosque, or high priest of a priest of the religion. Now, if there are 24 or 25,000 mosques, what are they there for? They're there for people to pray. One of the biggest tourist attractions in China is the Grand Mosque in Xi'an. I've been there several times, and I've no doubt almost every tourist to Xi'an has been there. There are thousands and thousands of Muslims go there 4 or 5 times a day. And you can go in there as a tourist. You can shop in the bazaar and the market outside. This is one of the biggest, I think it might be the biggest mosque in Asia. There's another interesting thing in Turpan, which is the largest adobe. It means it's made with mud, minaret. It's a huge tower, very, very tall tower made with mud. And it's a huge tourist attraction. Now, if the Chinese government wanted to suppress Islam, they'd be knocking them down, not rebuilding them. When you walk around Xinjiang, any of the towns or cities, you see Uyghurs freely walking around, doing what they do, their normal day-to-day business. They don't appear to be very depressed. They don't appear to be very subjugated. They don't appear to have any difference in their way of life to the way the Han people do. It's the experts who say, well, they're being indoctrinated at school. Well, in fact, they're not. They're not allowed to speak Uyghur, right? Because the same in Guangdong, they're not allowed to speak Cantonese in their school. They speak Mandarin when they're in school. When they're out of school in their families, they speak Cantonese. So it's exactly the same. It's no different. The school is there to teach them the national language. And if they learn the national language, they have better opportunities. It's not a case of wiping out the Uyghur population or wiping out the Uyghur language or the Uyghur culture. It's a case of adding to that culture the skills they need in order to get out of the poverty. And that's one thing I have noticed, and I'm very, very strong on this. If you take a look at what's happened in Xinjiang over the last 15, 18, maybe longer years, there's a lot of terrorism gone on there. There's a lot of bad things have happened. We know for a fact that there is a terrorist movement called the East Turkestan Islamic Movement, ETIM, and it wasn't China that said they were a terrorist movement. It was America. America made them a terrorist movement. America has locked them up in Guantanamo Bay and tortured them and done all of those nasty things to the Uyghurs. Now they're saying it's China's fault. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. If there is an international terrorist organization that consists mainly of Uyghurs inside of Xinjiang, then the government has every right to take action. Now, what action they take, that's debatable, whether it's right, whether it's wrong. I'm not the guy to answer that question. You need your human rights people who are experts on this to go and have a look. You need counter-terrorism people who are experts on this to go and have a look. And that's something that did happen. A Russian guy for the United Nations, Vladimir Voronkov, is a counter-terrorism expert. He's the head of the United Nations counter-terrorism department. He went and had a look, and he wrote a favorable report. The World Bank went and had a look and wrote a favorable report. Now, if those people are going and writing favorable reports, why can't the human rights groups go and have a look? Because they have been invited. So their reason for not going seems to be childish and pedantic in my mind. You have an opportunity to go, but you're saying if I go, it will legitimize your actions. Well, it's childish, it's pedantic, it's absolutely absurd. That's right. If you have an opportunity to go and check the welfare of these people and don't, what is your hidden agenda? Why are you doing this?